Today, we're talking about something pretty fundamental, something we don't always put into words. How knowing that our time is limited actually shapes, well, everything about our lives. This quote, it really hits, doesn't it? Because that moment, that realization, it usually doesn't show up with some big dramatic fanfare. It's almost always in the small, quiet moments. You know, you see an old photo of yourself and think, wait, who was that person? Or you look at your parents and suddenly you see them in a totally new light. And just like that, mortality isn't some abstract idea anymore. It's personal. Once that happens, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Your whole perspective just shifts. The world doesn't just look different, it feels different. Every choice you make, every path you take, suddenly has this new weight to it. Okay, so let's explore this. This first part is all about that moment, that initial life-changing jolt of awareness and what happens in the moments right after. Now, this is what I find so fascinating, how it totally reframes things. Before you really get it, life's choices can feel like a big buffet, right? You're just sampling different options. But after, they become these huge statements about what you actually care about. A job stops being just a paycheck and becomes, wow, a record of all the mornings of your life you've traded. A relationship isn't just about having someone around. It's a future you are actively promising to show up for. Your mortality gives weight to all your possibilities. So what's going on in our heads? Why do we do this? Well, psychologically, our minds are basically meaning-making machines. When we're faced with the idea of not existing, our brain just scrambles to find some sort of story, some coherence. And so, we build these incredible structures, things like careers or families or entire belief systems to give our short lives a feeling of purpose, of something that lasts. They're our way of standing up to the void. But here's the thing, this new awareness doesn't just lead to one simple feeling. It's messy. It creates this deep tension, this paradox, pulling us between two totally opposite forces, freedom and fear. On one side, you've got fear, and it's a powerful force. It makes time feel like it's shrinking, and it puts us into survival mode. Just avoid pain, avoid risk. But on the other side, you get this incredible sense of liberation. When you truly accept that your time is limited, it can actually free you from the paralysis of having too many options. It forces you to just decide, to be authentic, to choose what truly matters to you right now. It's so strange, but mortality can actually be the very thing that makes you brave. And here's another one of those paradoxes. That awareness of death, it often sparks this incredible creativity. It's this deep, human impulse to leave a mark, to create something that says, hey, I was here. But to do that, to make something truly new, you often have to step away from the crowd. And that can lead to this really profound loneliness. This feeling that the unique world you're building inside yourself isn't really seen or understood by anyone else. So this brings us to a really crucial idea, the concept of inner time. See, it's not just about the clock on the wall. The way we actually experience time is where our sense of a meaningful life is really built. Just think about it for a second. We all know clock time. It's objective. The social, it runs our lives with meetings and deadlines and seasons. But our inner time, that's totally different. The stretchy and emotional. I mean, 1 hour can feel like an eternity when you're grieving, and a whole year can disappear in what feels like a weekend of pure joy. That subjective inner clock, that's where the real magic happens. A huge concept for shaping that inner time is something called future self continuity. It sounds a little academic, but it's actually super simple. It's just asking, how connected do you feel to the person you're going to be in 10, 20, or 50 years? If you see that future you as a total stranger, well, it's pretty easy to make choices that don't help them out. But if you see them as a familiar friend, as you start making better long-term decisions on their behalf. So how do we actually build that connection? Here are a few really powerful practices you can try. You can literally write letters to your future self. Or you can imagine in super vivid detail a future celebration. It's also really helpful to imagine potential failures with that same specificity. It makes the stakes feel real. But maybe the most powerful tool of all is that last one. Try to look at your current choices from the perspective of your 80-year-old self. It is an amazing way to recalibrate what matters. Okay, so let's bring this all together and get practical. This last section is all about turning this awareness into a craft, a real toolkit for building a deliberate life, one that actually makes friends with mortality instead of being terrified by it. The main idea here is that you can actually design your life with intention. So let's look at this toolkit. First, choose your anchors, those small daily rituals that give your life a rhythm. Next, embrace constraints. This sounds counterintuitive, but by choosing your limits, you create the space for really deep, focused work. Cultivate covenants. Make real, witnessed agreements with people for accountability. Practice ritualized endings. That means consciously closing chapters in your life. Train your attention by single tasking, which makes your experiences feel so much richer. And finally, build exit protocols. Basically, learn how to say no clearly so you're not just committing to things out of fear. And really, this is the ultimate reframing of the whole idea. The weight of time, that awareness of our own mortality, it doesn't have to be this crushing burden we drag around. When we learn how to carry it properly, using tools like these, it stops being a burden and it becomes ballast, the very thing that keeps us stable, gives our journey direction, and fills it with meaning. So, I want to leave you with this. It's a question not to answer right away, but just to sit with for a while. If you knew you had just 1 year left to really, truly deepen one single aspect of your life, what would you choose? Let that question be your guide. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.